Good morning. Good morning, all of you. So the tale of Melon City was going on yesterday, and what we have learnt yesterday, from that point, actually we will start our poem again because it is considered in your UT. That's why we are revising it again. We will not go in the deep. Fine. So what actually the blame game was going on yesterday? What happened when the ark was constructed actually in the city of Melon? That was not a city of Melon actually. That till that time they were having a king, and the king was actually a stupid kind of thing, stupid kind of king, stupid kind of person. However, he was very cool. However, he was very calm. However, he was very just king. Just means he believed in justice. He he was not at all, you can say, partial to everyone. He was fine. So you can say that when he got it made, when he got the ark made, our ark is called a big gate. I gave you an example like Ajmeri gate, Sanganeri gate, 4 gates we are having in our city, in Jaipur also. Fine. It was said that Jaipur was built inside those 4 doors only. Right now what we are doing, that when the ark was made, when the king was passing through that ark, then his crown fell down on the ground. His crown fell down on the ground. However, he was a cool king, but he took it as a matter of disrespect for him. He thought that it was a disrespect for him. So he just called out the chief of the builders that what kind of ark you have made, that my crown got stuck in that and it fell down on the road. It fell down on the ground. That was just a disdainful thing for me. And what happened next? The builder, the chief of the builder told him that it is not my fault. It is not my fault. This kind of game was going on. He told him that it was the fault of whom? Yes. Just a second. Yes. It was a fault of masons. When the masons were called, they were saying that it was the fault of architect who has designed that ark. Fine. And finally the architect, when the architect was called, well, architect said, His Majesty, I do ordain. We are starting from, it was the architect, they said, the architect was summoned. What happened at last? When the architect was summoned, when the architect was called, what happened next? The architect said, well, architect said, His Majesty, I do ordain that you shall be. Means, I just follow the orders. I do ordain. Ordain is called orders follow karna. Fine, he was saying that I just follow the order that you shall be hanged. Means the architect was saying, the king was saying that the architect was hanged now. As step by step he was just looking and he was searching the faulty people, faulty person who was faulty. Kaun tha? He was searching for that. Just then he came to know that it was the architect who designed that gate, who designed that ark. So he said to the architect that you shall be hanged now. Said the architect, O king, you have forgotten one small thing. You have made certain amendments to the plans when I showed them to you. What the architect told him. Yes, I am ready, but let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing. I want to tell you one thing that, O king, you have forgotten one small thing. You are forgetting one small thing. I just want to remind you. What he wanted to remind him. You made certain amendments. What is amendments? What is the meaning of amendments? Can anybody tell me? Small changes. See, when they finalized the idea that the ark was made, Just then king remembered that he wanted to make some changes in that final idea actually. So it was the king who made some changes that it should not be done. जैसे हमने कोई ग्राफ बनाया है, फाइनलाइज जिससे भी करवाते हैं वो पर्सन अगर अपने आइडियाज दे थोड़े से, दैट विल बी कॉल्ड अमेंडमेंट्स. Fine. So the architect was saying that you made certain amendments to the plans when I showed them to you. When I show you the plan, when I showed you the plan of that ark, then it were you who made that some small amendments, who did some small changes. The king heard this. The king so red. In fact, he nearly lost his head. Now, when the king listened, when the king heard what the architect was saying, he said that the king so red means he grew into anger. However, he was a cool king, however, he was a placid king, he used to keep himself very calm and cool. But when the blame was coming to himself, see, it happens to each and every human being actually. When someone blames us, then we get angry at the time. So, the king so red. When the blame was coming to the king directly, then he grew into anger. And in fact, he nearly lost his head. Lost his head means he just forget each and everything. He was not getting any idea. He was not getting any, he just lose his cool and calmness. But being a just and placid king, he said, just a second. Is it visible?
No, ma'am.
I'm facing a problem to handle it actually. Fine? Is it fine
Yes.
now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you made some amendments. The king heard this. The king so red. In fact, he nearly lost his head. But being a just and placid king, he said, this is a tricky thing. I need some counsel. Bring to me the wisest man in this country. So, but he was a just king. He was known for his justice actually. He was known for his justice as he was a just king, and he was placid actually. He was a calm king also. So he said this is a tricky thing. He could not get any idea. He could not get any word that what should he answer now. So he said that this is a very tricky thing. This is really a confusing thing actually. That I need some counsel. I want some counsel. What is there for counsel? Why we made a council? For discussing anything. Fine. So he was saying that it is a yes beta. Council is made for discussing anything, for getting any solution for any problem. Fine. So he was saying that this is a tricky thing, that the whole incident has become confusing now. I need some counsel. I want some people who can suggest me and who can solve this problem. Bring to me the wisest man in this country. And he ordered, the king ordered, however he was a king. King था भाई वो, ऐसे थोड़ी था कोई भी. So he told them that bring the wisest. Wisest means who is the most wise people.
Most intelligent.
Yes, most intelligent person of his kingdom. So he ordered that bring that wisest person to me. The wisest man was found and brought, nay, carried to the royal court. Now everyone have gone. Everyone means the messengers were sent to the areas, and they found the wisest person who was there, and he was carried to the royal court. He could not walk and could not see, so old and therefore wise. And was he but in a quavering voice he said, the culprit must be punished. What's going on? He could not walk. He could not see. What kind of look was there of that wisest person? He was very weak actually because of the old age. He could not see even because of the old age. He was so old that he could not even walk. He could not even see clearly. But that's why the people thought that because he is old, that's why he is the wisest. Is it a reality? If the people grow older,
No.
then do they become wise also? Not always. Not always. However, they are having experience of their life, but it doesn't mean that they are having intelligence also. Okay, it depends on the people to people, person to person actually. Fine. So the people of his kingdom thought that because he is too old, though he must be an intelligent, he must be the wisest person. So he brought him. But in a quavering voice he said, the culprit must be punished. Just the old man, the wisest person, gave an order that in quavering voice. What is quavering? Trembling voice. His voice was shivering even. उसकी voice भी कांप रही थी जब वो बोल रहा था. When he was giving an order, he was saying that the culprit must be punished. Who is culprit? What is culprit? Who is responsible for making that fault? Yes. जो कि उस fault के लिए responsible था. Fine. The responsible person should be punished. The old man, the wisest person, gave an order, or he told them, truly the ark, it was that banged the crown off, and it must be hanged. What they were saying? Truly the ark, it was that banged the crown off, and it must be hanged. What that wisest person was saying? It was the ark itself, which just banged the king's crown. कि कौन responsible था? Who was responsible? It was the ark. Who was responsible? ये जो बड़ा सा जो उन्होंने ark बनवाया था, gate बनवाया था, that was responsible. Because in that ark, the king's crown was stuck, and it fell down and it banged on the floor, on the road. That's why it was the ark was responsible itself. To the scaffold, the ark was led, when suddenly a counselor said, how can we hang so shamefully that what touched your head, your majesty? To the scaffold. Scaffold means the people who were listening them, all the people who were sitting and who were listening, they were such confused that time. They were in a confused state actually. The ark was led when suddenly a counselor said. So they all people now all were actually waiting for the decision. And just then a counselor said, how can we hang so shamefully? What touched your head, your majesty? A counselor gave an idea. He gave a suggestion. What kind of suggestion he was giving? The thing which touched your head, how can we give punishment to that ark? The thing which has touched your head, how can we give punishment to that thing? Do you imagine? Can you people imagine that an ark can be punished or not? How it will get the punishment? It was a non-living thing. So can we give a punishment to an ark? Can we give a punishment to a non-living thing? What kind of punishment we can give to a non-living thing? We can just break it. That will be the punishment for that. Will it feel also? क्या इसको भी फील होता है क्या? आग को अगर हम तोड़ देंगे, ब्रेक कर देंगे, will it feel that it is a punishment for us, for me? Nothing. it doesn't have any feeling. So the person was saying means what kind of foolish people he was having, the king was having. The king himself was foolish, and the same foolish ministers he was having in his kingdom actually. What he was saying, how can we hang? The counselor said that how can we give a punishment to that thing, the thing that touched your head? We cannot punish that thing. We should honor, we should respect that thing, the thing which touched your head. True, mused the king. By now the crowd, restless, was muttering aloud. Now, true, mused the king. The king himself was in a confused state. He was in a confusion, and he said that true, it is true that we cannot punish that thing which touched my head. So now the crowd was restless. Crowd was waiting for a long time that who will be punished at last, who will be hanged at last. So crowd was waiting for the decision of the king. It was becoming restless, as we people also becoming restless. When we people also become restless when we have to wait for a long time for decision. हम किसी चीज के लिए अगर बहुत लंबा वेट करना पड़ जाता है हमें, तो हम भी रेस्टलेस हो जाते हैं. And same thing was happening with the crowd. The crowd became restless, was muttering aloud. They started gossiping with each other in a loud noise. They started making voice. Actually, they started talking to each other. The king perceived their mood and trembled and said to all who were assembled, "Let us postpone consideration of finer points like guilt. The nation wants a hanging." What happened next? Now the king proclaimed. The king perceived. Perceived means he got the idea of what was going on in the among the people. That what the people wanted now. Actually, he perceived. Perceived means he just imagined and he thought inside his mind that what was going on. He just got idea about their mood. Their means the crowd's mood, and trembled and said to all who were assembled, the person who were assembled there, the people who were assembled there, the king started talking to them. Let us postpone consideration. For right now, we are just postponing this consideration. The thing which is going on, the idea that is going on, the actually result or the decision that we have to take right now, we should postpone that consideration of finer points like guilt. Who is guilty actually? Who is at fault lastly? We should find it later on. The nation wants a hanging. Right now, what should we do? Later on we will search the faulty person. Later on we will search the guilty person. We will search later on who is at the fault. But right now we should hang someone. What kind of foolish he was? कि fault तो हम बाद में पता लगा लेंगे कि कौन fault था, कौन fault पर था, कौन faulty था. We will search it later on. But right now क्या करना है? हमें किसी ना किसी को तो फांसी पे लटकाना ही है, because it is decided that someone should be hanged. सही चल रहा है ना चैप्टर?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
The nation wants a hanging. So, what kind of thing were going on actually? Nation wants that someone should be hanged out, so we should hang someone actually. Hanged must be someone, and that immediately. Because people want the nation that is surrounded, that is actually assembled there. Assembled means जो इकट्ठे हो गए हैं वहां पर. They want that someone should be hanged. Hanged must be someone. So we should hang someone. We should give hanged till that. And that immediately. And it should be, the decision should be taken immediately. We should take that decision immediately that who will be hanged right now. So we'll continue tomorrow. It is still left. We will continue, and most probably we will discuss the question answers also. Right now we are leaving. Okay? Bye bye all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, have a
Thank you.
nice day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome, dear.